Husband. Right, the other big news story of the day, and I'm interested from a reform point of view. Mike Amesbury, MP for Runcorn and Helsby, today sentenced to 10 weeks in prison. He admitted punching a man to the ground on a night out. Unbelievable footage. Today sentenced. He's already lost the whip. He's an independent. This could result in a recall petition amongst constituents, and there could be a by-election. However, he has appealed, but I presume that reform will be going all out in that constituency. Yes or no?
As and when it's called, we will be going all out. I think it's still a bit unclear given the timing of the appeal. I think he has gone straight to jail, is what I understand, but it's still a bit unclear. So let's wait and see. But when the by-election happens, we'll have a great candidate for sure, and we will be working very hard, and our ambition will be to win that and for that to become our 6th Member of Parliament.
James Price said the issue is that far north is that there will be the Tories and Reform could cancel out each other and Labour could sneak through the back door, to which I said, and maybe I'm missing the point, that I do think you should take into consideration what the traditional Labour voters think of the mess that Starmer's made for the last 9 months.
Look, I think it's all up for grabs, but I don't think there's going to be any love for the Tories who voters have just kicked out. And I don't think there's any love for a Labour Party that, frankly, is running the country into the ground. So it will be very interesting indeed.
Do you feel the momentum, excuse the pun,
without question,
is with the reform?
Without question. I mean, we're topping most opinion polls in the high 20s as we speak. The Tories are sort of sinking towards 20, 21. That sort of order, 22, and Labour's sort of somewhere in the mid-20s. Anything could happen. It will be very interesting.
I said before I went away that I heard very little from Kemi Badenoch, and I'm just being really honest. Everybody knows that I voted for reform, but I'm to be convinced. Kemi Badenoch demanded yesterday to know if licence fee cash was given by the BBC to Hamas terrorists during the making of that controversial BBC Two documentary. I don't know if you saw it last week. It was narrated by the son of Hamas official. This is the BBC that still won't call Hamas a bloody terrorist organisation. But maybe I'm missing the point, and maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. Is she cutting through, Kemi Badenoch? Is it resonating?
Credit where credit's due. We've been very critical of her, but she's quite right to ask that question.
OK, good.
And the BBC should answer it, because clearly there's a sort of independent production company that originally the BBC said they had full editorial control of the programme. Then when things got a bit hot and tense, all of a sudden, no, nothing to do with us, Gov.
I know that. Well, let's screw the production company. Yeah,
you've been there, done that, Jeremy. And so
we commissioned it, but it's nothing to do with us at all. It's everything fine.
But look, in all seriousness, this was an appalling, dreadful breach of standards.
I think they're a disgrace.
And I've been very, very critical of all the issues around Hamas, around UNRWA, around the BBC, their refusal to call Hamas a monstrous terrorist organisation, which they are. It's not difficult, this stuff, and they've got serious questions to answer. And I think people are sick and tired of hearing, oh, we're going to have an inquiry and lessons will be learned.
I'll tell you something. I would never tell you how to do politics, but if reform ever got near number 10, you've talked about the blob, I would absolutely get rid of the BBC licence fee in a heartbeat. I think it's a disgrace. I think it should be on quality and it should be on choice. I think they are, honestly, and I'll never work for them, I think they're a disgrace.
They really are, and they keep letting themselves down.
Yeah, they do.
And they keep saying we're going to learn lessons, and then they never do. Maybe fire a few people.
Yeah, good idea.
Get rid of a few people, and then people might start to perform better.
Well, you've got 3 minutes and 2 subjects: fire service or Nigel Farage. What do you want first?
Both.
All right. Nigel Farage has joined the fire service. No, he hasn't. Britain's fire service is 2 male and 2 white, reporters claim. The report commissioned by the National Fire Chiefs Council found that the service was institutionally racist, misogynistic and homophobic. And Richard Tice, with his head in his hands, I said at the beginning of the show, forgive me, I said I wouldn't give a fat rat's backside who was driving the train, what's it called? Honestly, truck when your house is on fire.
The real point is they should not be wasting time and resources and money on these ridiculous reports. Just train your good, brave fire officers to do their job brilliantly, rapidly, in order to save lives. And I'll say it bluntly now, if they'd done their job properly at Grenfell, dozens and dozens and dozens of people would still be alive.
Mate, honestly, fantastic that you actually got to say that, because honestly, we are in a and this is why Trump won in America, because we're in a country that is spending money on commissioning reports in telling me that the fire service is institutionally racist, misogynistic and homophobic. ridiculous, like the police service. Cure crimes, right? Put fires out. Stop arguing the toss. Last week when I was away, apparently Nigel Farage gave up ownership at Reform UK to make the party more demographic. Was that the two of you decided that? What difference does it make? Explain that to the viewers and the listeners.
So we committed on July the 5th last year, straight after the election. Nigel confirmed that we would democratise the party. So instead of being owned by 3 or 4 individuals, Nigel is the majority shareholder, it would become owned by the membership.
Right.
It was the constitution. The new one was signed off in the September conference we had, and it's gone through the legal process, and now it's actually happened, and it was all confirmed last week, and it gets...
So you and he had a share in...
We had shares in it.
Did you get any money for those shares?
No, none at all.
Oh, I'd be quite gutted. I mean, if it created Reform and it might end up as the elected government, I'd want some dosh.
Maybe a pint of Guinness Zero or something, who knows?
Yes.
But in all seriousness, the key point is we have... the democratisation has happened.
Yep.
And so that's, in a sense, part of the maturing, professionalising of the party that Nigel as leader promised to do, and he's delivered on that promise with the chairman, Zia, who's done a brilliant job getting this through. It takes time.
Of course.
And just has to be sorted. I think most people will say 6-7 months, we've got it sorted, next job, move on.
I think it's also very important. I know Ben Habib, as the voice, is saying, you know, we should democratise this party, and you've proven that. And also, I think the point that you made earlier was you got 5 MPs in the last election. It wasn't organised, this party, at all. It wasn't democratised. It was a private-owned organisation with very few... it's going to be a different machine in 4 years' time.
I always said the job was, because we had very limited resources, most of the money, bluntly, I'd put in. The point was that I said we were going to stand over 600 MPs, and we achieved that. Of course, it was a bit bumpy. Of course, it was difficult. And running political parties is really, really hard. Running it with the square root of not a lot is even harder. But we made great progress. We've got the bridgehead, and let's see what happens, and on we go.
And all that money you lost, I'll buy you your next ticket to Italy in 2 weeks' time at the rugby if you want. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader Reform, thank you so much indeed, and good luck with everything. Thank you for your input. And listen, thank you for listening. That's